Hello everyone. Welcome to the conversation with Rammy Narula. He'll be here in some time. In 2 minutes he'll be here. We all are very excited to have him. Hello Sanket. Hello Dimpy. How are you all? We all are very excited to hear him. Just 2 more minutes and he'll be here. Hi Dimpy. Hello. Hello Rammy. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you? I guess now we're doing the real thing now, right?
Yeah, this is the real thing. Yeah, finally it's happening. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. So how's the
Thanks
baby doing?
for.
How's the boy?
He's fine. Thank you. He's growing up very fast now, talking a lot now. So
How old is he?
sorry.
How old is he?
He's turning 3 in a month exactly.
Oh
So
wow, that's
yeah,
great.
time
I
flies.
hope things work fine soon, like the situation which is happening right now.
I think we're doing. I think we're actually doing okay in Thailand. It seems to be like that
There's
the
no
doctors
lockdown there.
have got a hold have got a hold of it. No, it's locked down, but it seems to be working so far. People are really actually home, and I think the numbers have come down already the last week. So
That's so great.
but let's see. I think everybody's quite worried about the situation everywhere in the world, and at any moment, and I guess it can still go
Right,
up. So
right.
how is it for you guys?
It's very tough. Like it's very bad situation here. A lot of people are not still understanding, and and the situation is quite complicated because a lot of people still don't follow the rules and they can go out and interact. Like so, let's see. Hope
Yeah.
for the best. Hello, Vineet. How are you? Good to
Hey,
see you
Vinny,
here.
what's going on, man?
So we are here with Rammy Narula, the great photographer from Bangkok, and we himself will we just tell about yourself, how you started photography and how it
Me,
happened.
me, me, me talking about myself. I thought you were going to talk about me.
No. So it will be
um,
great. Yeah, it will be great if you start.
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, I guess I'm Rammy Narula from Bangkok. I'm actually Indian. I'm actually Indian by birth. But I was born in Thailand. My family's been here, I think, 4 generations now. We've been here like 100 years, so a really long time. And I started photography not too long ago. Well, 9 years now, so almost 10 years now. So it's been a while, I guess.
How it started.
Um, how it started, I think I was just looking for something different, to be honest. I was in an office work. I was flying for work, but I was kind of stuck, and I thought I needed something a bit different. And and photography just sort of came into my lap. My brother gave me a camera, said, go out, try something different. And then I was just in a few weeks, I was just out there almost every day taking pictures and trying different things.
So
And
what you started with,
you
like
know,
what generally used to shoot before initially.
I started initially from, I would say, documentary portraits of people on the street. I thought it was the easiest, I guess, to
Wow.
do. Um, I took a couple of workshops. I actually started. I didn't even know how to use a camera before I started. So I started from taking a technical workshop for a few days. So learning how to use ISO and
Who
shutter
was your
speed.
first mentor for that?
Oh, a Thai teacher. Um, this was a long time ago now. So a Thai teacher, very random. I found somebody online, and he was doing a 2-day workshop, and I just joined that, and
Okay.
started from very complete basics, like what this aperture means. I didn't even know what aperture meant. Like this was 10 years ago. So,
Right.
so yeah, before that, it was just always an automatic camera that I was using before, taking pictures of family and friends. But to do something meaningful, that was, yeah, 10 years ago. That was the first time I actually carried a DSLR. Yeah.
So did you use film anytime?
Film, I did use film, but that was later. I started from digital. Obviously, because it was 2010, digital was already quite strong at the time. Started with a Canon, and I picked up film a few years later, just because film was coming back, and I thought I wanted to try something different, and I wanted to slow down my shooting a little bit, and yeah, so that was so yeah, I did film for a while, but I wouldn't say I really stuck with it though. It was just only for
And
like maybe a year or two, and that was it.
awesome.
Um,
So like how the street photography started, like what inspired you most when street happened? Like how it
I
happened.
I think I think for me it was I was on the street, I was shooting a lot, and I was kind of looking for directions, and I actually took a travel. I was a workshop junkie, by the way. This is going back like 2011, 2012. I took a bunch of workshops. I did the technical workshop, and then I did the documentary workshop, and I did a travel workshop. And in that travel photography workshop, somebody, the teacher showed a pictures by Elliot Erwitt and Cartier-Bresson, and he talked about it being candid work that they made on the street, and I was like, wow, you can actually do that too. And I thought, I wanted to do something that I wanted to take pictures without really going too far away from home. I don't know if that makes sense. I only
Why?
had a couple of I
What
only
was
had a
it?
couple of hours a day, right? So I only had a couple of hours a day, and I wasn't traveling that much at the time. I was traveling maybe a few times a year, but it wasn't enough to like to live abroad all the time, to make pictures all the time. So I thought I had to have this ability to make pictures close to home where I can go out for like an hour or two, and that was how I landed on street photography, just because it was something that I thought I could do all the time. And so I started looking up Magnum photographers, and I started looking at their personal work, because obviously Magnum photographers are, they were a lot of them were journalists, but I also found that they had a lot of personal work. So their books, their online stuff that I looked up, they had a lot of work that they were doing in their own free time, and I thought that's perfect. That's what I needed. And
Who really inspired you? Like
who really inspired me? I think in the beginning, Cartier-Bresson was one of the inspiration for sure. I think it was an easy one, because an easy one for people to get into, and that everybody knew how to explain. All the teachers know
every
how to explain him,
right.
because his work was easy to read, I would say. So obviously that was my entry into it. I also like a lot of Steve McCurry's work early on, because I was doing a lot of portraits,
I'm his big
and
fan.
yeah. So okay, I just see a comment there that somebody said I look Indian. I'm Indian, by the way, in case you guys don't realize. But I am Indian, but I was born in Thailand. I was just explaining to Twitter
Narula
that
is Indian surname.
it is, it's a popular surname as well. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
us there. I'm fourth generation Thai, so I've been here a long time, right? As I told you in the beginning, I'm not half Punjabi, by the way. I'm seeing another comment here. I'm full on Punjabi, not half. So
That's great.
I'm not, I'm not half anything. I was
You'll
just born in
visit.
Thailand. That was it. But I don't speak Hindi. I don't speak Punjabi. I can understand Hindi a little bit. I watch a lot of Hindi films. But yeah, Punjabi a little bit. My grandparents tried to make me learn, but that never stuck.
Hello, Pa.
Yeah.
What made you really go into street photography so seriously? Like
Sorry, say that again.
what was that thing that really got into you for street?
Oh, I think it was just how personal it was, and that I didn't have to ask anyone what I wanted to do or compare myself to anyone in particular. It was this kind of hunting games where I can get out and I can just do whatever I want, and I could find my own sort of language, the way, to communicate.
Right.
And I think it was. I'm going to say this, and it might sound a bit odd, but it was one of the most honest things that I could do. Um,
True.
because I found that it was it's interesting that you can go out there and you can make pictures, and you're communicating, and it's just between you and everything that you're looking at. And um and I thought, this is something that you can do completely honestly, and and I think that's just really what hooked me onto it in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm following you since 2013 when APF happened, and I was really, really inspired by your work. I was like, wow, what a photographer, what
I,
amazing
I
photography.
I think that was when I remember that was when I met you, and a lot of people
I
also
didn't
in
meet you.
APF. No,
I've
no, we
not
didn't
met
meet,
you
but I
any
mean, I,
time,
I
but
met you on online. I
yeah,
mean,
you used to comment on my
we all meet
pictures.
online. So,
Mm.
I think APF opened a lot of doors for a lot of
Yeah,
people. Rohit
truly,
and Vinit,
truly. We all are
um, you
because
know,
of APF.
Rohit and Vinit got in touch with me very early on, when they started it online, and I was been involved with that project from the beginning, which I felt incredibly
How
lucky
you
to have
how
been
you guys
involved with
met?
that.
How you guys met?
It was just purely online. I think they started APF on Facebook, and within a week, I was posting pictures in their on their group, and within a week, they were asking if I wanted to join as a moderator.
Wow,
Um,
amazing.
because I was already doing a lot of work by that time. I think when they started 2013, I was already shooting a lot. I was already traveling. I was already making a lot of pictures. And I think they asked me if I wanted to be involved with the online stuff that they were doing, and I said yes, very quickly. I thought it was very interesting, and I think that was how I came to meet a lot of people, and that was when I started doing workshops with them, and with
You came
Rohit
to
and Vinit
Calcutta
and
also.
Michael. I was in Calcutta as well. I think that was the thing that brought me back to India. I hadn't been back in a long time. I have to admit, I've only been to India a
Please
few
come.
times. Uh, Soon, maybe. I've only been to India a few times, but that was, with APF, it was definitely an opportunity to go back to do something, with a purpose. And I thought that was quite. It worked out well. I had a good time. Calcutta was absolutely amazing. Everybody that I met there, it was an experience to remember
I
for
I
sure.
missed that workshop really big time. Like yeah, that was
Yeah,
a
no,
great
that was a lot
opportunity
of
to
fun.
meet so many mentors together.
That was
Michael
a
was
lot of
also
fun.
there. Yeah.
Michael was there as well. That I think that was, yeah, one of the few times that the four of us were in the same place. That was a great. That was a great workshop.
Tell
Great
us
week. Great week.
something about. So you are a member of uh, Burn My
Burn my
Eye
eye.
collection.
Yeah,
How did
I'm a
that
member
happen?
of.
How that happened?
Uh, with Burn My Eye, I guess it was. Burn My Eye happened a couple of years ago, and that was when I became. Well, before that, I became an admin of hardcore street photography on Flickr. Um, your namesake, but on Flickr. So I became an admin there, and I was moderating there for about over a year, and I met a few guys who were admins of Hardcore Street Photography, and I got to know them, and they were also Burn My Eye members. And I also started, talking. I think I was in London in 2017, and I met another guy there. So I started meeting a few people in that group.
So you met
And
Danny Tallis.
sorry.
Have you met Danny Tallis?
Yeah, Barry. Yes, Barry. I met him here. He came for a workshop in 2014, 2017. So he was here. He was here doing a workshop with us with Burn My Eye in 2017. So I met him after I joined the group already. But yeah,
How was it meeting him? Like he's so amazing.
he's a very passionate guy. You meet him and you know that he's very passionate about photography, and the way he goes about making pictures on the street. You can tell, I think, when you meet people and you walk around with them, and you can see whether they're really into photography or not, or they're actually just into um, being involved in the on the online side of it, on the community. So I think that sort of difference you can tell very quickly. And with Barry, it was very obvious that photography was just kind of like his meditation. That's what he does. That's what he.
Right. We can feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you can see that from his pictures as well. I think it's definitely something that he was doing to really communicate. And I think that's the one thing that really drew me to Burn My Eye. When they invited me to join the group, it was, for me, they are the epitome of speaking a language which cannot be written or explained in
True.
words. And the pictures is an extension of who you are, which is different to you know the trendy style of photography, I would say, where people want to do and make pictures, um, you know, in a certain theme or a certain way, and you go out and you try to find pictures of a certain thing. But
Mm.
with Burn My Eye, all the members are trying to say something about themselves. So it's just a different way. I'm not saying anything either or is better. I'm not,
Right.
you cannot judge. Art is art. You can't say what's
And
good or
there,
what's bad.
there are quite some, many, quite 10, 15, 20 photographers, I
Yeah,
think.
the Burn My Eye members are 19. So we have 19 members there.
And all
Over
are
the,
exceptional. Like all have some different work. Jack
I think
Simon.
I think it's exactly what I just described. I think it's basically 19 people saying 19 different things. 19
Right.
people saying something about who they are and what their experience in the world is, and what are they trying to say to you without using words. And I think that's what a lot of Burn My Eye members do really, really well. And I think that's what differentiates many of them from the street photography that we usually see online. Because you see, to me, I think street photography can be divided into a few different categories. One of them being, you pick a theme, you pick a topic, you go out, you find it, and then you make that picture and you come home and you've done something, and that's great. And then there's another way, which is, what do you want to say? Like, who are you? Like, as soon as you
Right.
wake up in the morning, like, what do you want to say today? Can you say
Right.
that in words? Can you write it down? Can you speak to somebody? If you can't, can you do it with photography? Can you make pictures? And I just find that's the side of photography that you see a lot of Burn My Eye members do.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
that's how I see it differently.
so which camera you used first time? Like what was your first camera?
The first camera that I used was a Canon D 550D. So that
I
was 10
also
years
used
ago.
500D.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good camera. I like that camera, and I thought that was that was a convenient camera to go about, and in Thailand that's pretty easy because Thailand's an
Yeah.
easy country to make pictures of, I think. And that was the first camera that I used.
And then you moved to Fuji.
Then I moved to Fuji. Yes, I used X100. I think it was X100S at that time. Yeah, I think X100. Yeah, X100S had come out in 2012 or 13. That was what I bought, and I used that for a little while. Then I started using Leica as well. So I've been switching and alternating between Leica and Fuji for the last 8 years. I would
Wow.
say. Yeah, so and I find that they complement the way I make pictures the most, I would say, I think.
So a lot of people here, I think they don't know your work because you're keeping low profile these days. Like you're not very active on.
I keep a low profile, not I wouldn't say by choice so much. I would say by lifestyle now, because I have a son now. And I realized that I needed to sort of come back to work and do, I guess, live I would say a lower profile sort of life, because I just wanted to concentrate on the living
Right. That's so
more,
great.
right?
That's so amazing.
Yeah, so you don't know if it's amazing yet. I think the story is yet to be told. So we will find out whether I made the right choice or not. I have no idea because I was traveling a lot before that, and then when my son was born, I was like, well, okay, I just gotta put a lot of focus on him, and that was what I decided to do. And yeah, so I would say I've kept a lower profile. Yeah, yeah, just because there's not
Yeah,
enough
because
time in the day to do everything.
we used to see you a lot in Facebook. Like now we don't get to see you there.
I guess I'm still there in a way, but I'm more like I'm in and out. I'm posting stuff and then I'm disappearing and then I turn off my phone and then I go on and do my stuff, but I used to engage, I used to chat with a lot more people. Now it's like, I send somebody a message, they would reply and like I'd wait 2 weeks to like send a reply back. So you lose that flexibility of time, I guess, with that, but it's not something that it's not something that I complain about. It's just I was ready for
This
that
is
next
just a phase.
phase.
Yeah, it's a phase.
Yeah, no, I was ready for that next phase. I thought I had enough of the online life. I was doing that for like 5, 6 years. That was a long time.
True.
So I thought I had enough of that, and I've just moved on, and I've kind of integrated and shifted the way I think about stuff, and become a little bit more present. I would say, more in the moment
Right.
rather than stuck
That's very
online, right?
important.
Yeah, yeah,
So we'll see some of your work now, and so that
yeah.
people
No,
get to know you more.
you want me to answer some questions that I'm seeing now later, or you want me to answer them now? Because I see some questions before that I didn't get to from people.
So
Farouk
we
Farouk
can
said
take the questions later.
Yeah, sure. Farouk said he didn't go to sleep. This is 8:30 in the morning. Farouk, I hope you're
No,
still
no.
listening, man. I know it's 8:30 for you in the US, but yeah, no, but yeah, we can come back to all the questions. There's some great questions
Yeah,
here. I
yeah.
really, yeah. Sorry, guys. We'll come back to the questions. All right.
So yeah, tell us about this shot. Like when you took this. This is my favorite shot. Like one of my favorite.
This was made at a local market in Thailand. One of the markets that I go to quite a lot. Um, it's a fresh market. It's a wet market actually, local market, and this is very close to home, close to my old house. I used to live about 10 minutes from where I am now, and this market was just really close. So I used to go there quite a bit, and I was the way that I made pictures at the market was a bit. I guess I guess the way I make pictures generally, I try to do it different to what I see um, documentary photographers do.
Right,
So a documentary photographer would go in and would document whatever's happening in a place, and I would go in and I would look at the aesthetics of the
right,
place rather
right,
than the activity. I was
right.
not that I wasn't interested in the activities, but I thought the activities were something that's already there. It's been done. People have shown it, and I wanted to kind of find things that really interested me visually.
Somebody
For
is
me,
asking,
yeah,
what is the thought process before going out in the street to shoot?
it's the thought process is this, right? Is basically what would you like? What interests you, right? So when the thinking process, I wouldn't before going out, I'd probably be thinking about what sort of pictures I like, what sort of photographers that I like, which sort of work I want to emulate, get inspired by, right? So I would like it's like you're eating food, right? It's like you're having
Right,
breakfast and lunch and dinner, and you're picking good food to put into your stomach, so that the rest of the day you're energetic and that you can work out and you can go on about your day in the most effective way. For me, photography is very similar. It's what you look at. It's what you
right.
get inspired by. It's the photo books that you look at. It's the work that you look at. The people that you meet, the people that you talk to, the workshops that you take. Right. So
True.
my thought process before I go out is simply what interests me. Right. So I'm looking
Right,
at a photo book, and whenever I go through a photo book, I would I would keep an open mind on the
Right.
particular book. And I always appreciate what people create, right? My thing is I love what people do. I
Right.
love I love the effort that people put in to
Right.
make each work, to do whatever they do. But
Right.
I would also ask at the end of it whether I like it or not.
Right.
And that's not judging the photographers. That's not judging the artists. It's just simply turning around and looking back at myself and asking, do I like this? Do I feel something about this? Does this evoke a thought? Does this make me
Right.
feel something? Does this make me feel like I hate it? Does this make me feel like I love it? Does this make me feel like I want to go out and make pictures now? Does this make me feel like I want to do something? Right?
Right.
And I think this is really, really important, because this is what will basically become the fuel, and the energy that you use once you're actually out on the street. Um, and once you go out on the street, you forget everything. You let it all sink in. It's like you're walking up and down the stairs. I was explaining to somebody a week ago. Um, Taking pictures on the street has to be like walking up and down the stairs. You can't think
Right.
about it.
Right.
If you're thinking about it, you're not doing it right. Because if you're thinking about walking up and down the stairs, you fall, you trip.
Right.
So taking pictures, if you're thinking about the pictures that you're taking while you're taking it,
Right.
you're gonna fall, you're gonna trip, you're gonna make some bad pictures
Right.
because you're too much in your head, you're too much in your mind,
Right.
and that's just, to me, that's, I if I'm not in the right headspace, I would never make the right pictures, never make the right sort of pictures. So, for example, like I go to this market and I know already that I like colors, I like shadows,
Right.
I like a lot of, I like gestures. If you look at
Yeah.
my
Hand
work is full
movements.
of gestures, light and color, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I go to the market and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for gestures. I'm looking for light, looking for colors. Where can I find it? What time can I find it? Right. So this market I go to a lot. So I know that a certain time of day looks better than the other. I knew that the market was quite messy and I wanted to avoid all of that. I like clean photographs. I like clean lines. I like shapes. So that's what I was looking for. And by knowing what I like before I go out, when I'm outside on the street, it helps me choose the angle that I want to use, right? What I'm looking for, the small things that I look for, and I think it eliminates a lot of things automatically, almost by default. Because when I'm outside, I don't rethink about it. I've already
Right.
thought about it, and it's already in my head. I've already let it sink in, and I think that's how I got this type of photo, I would say, because I kind of
Game.
knew what I liked before I went out, I would say.
Right. Right. Right.
Right?
So,
You know?
Eben Felix is asking, do you think the dynamics in public space will change after the global lockdown?
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, there's no doubt that this is going to change massively. Um, I have a feeling that this is going to be something that we're going to have to deal with. First of all, I think within the next year you're going to see a lot of masks because that's what you have to, that's what most
Right.
countries will ask you to put on.
Right.
I think that's going to become a legal requirement for you to get on a public transport.
True.
It's going to be public. It's going to be a requirement probably in most offices, in meetings, right? So on the street, I think people would just wear it for precautions, particularly in Asia, where we already see a lot of masks anyway. I think in the Western world we haven't, but we will probably soon will. Um, I think a lot of, and this is probably going to be around until a vaccine comes out. And even as vaccine comes out, um, because we're going to be asked to practice good hygiene for the next year or so.
Right. Right.
It's just going to become standard practice for you to take good care of yourself, wash your hands a lot. You're probably going to see masks everywhere. You're going to see people try not to, handshakes and a kiss,
This
two
is going to
kisses,
be
three
very, very
kisses.
sad. It's
Oh,
going to
it's
be
gonna
very sad.
disappear, right? Like in France, you get two kisses. In Middle East, you get three kisses. So it's gonna be that's all gonna change, right?
How about Italy?
So it's
Italy
all going
and
to change.
Spain.
And I think even in India, you see people holding hands, walking and talking on the street. I think that's going to have to go. So the dynamic of people and how they behave towards one another is inevitably going to change. Um, and I think it's just going to bring out a bunch of new pictures, and getting up close to people's faces to make pictures is it might even become illegal. I have no idea. It's like
Yeah,
do you get arrested for getting really up close to people's faces to make
right,
pictures
right,
because you're breathing on their faces? Like, can you do that anymore?
right.
Um, you know, I think we're going to see a lot more zoom lens. I think we're going to see people change from 35 mil to 50 mil
Oh my
probably.
God, that will be like
Uh,
nightmare.
we're it's just I think we're going to see a lot of changes for sure, but it will take time. It will take time for us to get used to it. I don't see. You see, I'm going to say this, and this is not going to be much about photography. I'm sorry for people listening for photography, but I have to say this. I read a lot on Facebook and social media, and I keep hearing people say they can't wait for things to go back to normal. There's no version of normal because so many people have died, so many people have lost lives, lost families, lost family members, lost friends, lost relatives. There's no version that we're going to that's going to be normal. There's no normal anymore. This is just different. We're going to go back to live consciously, more mindful, I think more in the present, because we have to be so much more careful of where we are once we're on the streets. So I don't think we're going back to normal, and I
It
and
will
it's
be
just
like total different world after this.
it's going to be a while. We're going to have a lot of depressed people. We're going to have a lot of sad people. We're going to have a lot of recovery that we have to do. We're going to have to respect each other's personal private space. We're going to be very mindful of what we're doing once we're out on the street. Are we close to anybody? Is anybody following us? Even running and walking in the park, it's going to take a whole
Don't
new.
scare us so much.
No, no, no. I'm not. I don't mean for this to sound. I'm sorry if it sounds scary. I don't mean for it to sound scary. I'm just saying that it's going to change, and I think in a way, becoming more mindful and being in the present is not a bad thing.
Right,
It's
right. We have to
it's
slow
it's
down.
not it's not going to be a bad thing for anyone. It's going to be a good thing. It's going to be a revolution for people to become more mindful, because that's what you have to do on the public streets, and that's
And to slow
that's
down. A lot of people are running around like, I don't know for what.
yeah. So and I think that's where we're heading, and there's no normal. There's just going to be a revolutionized version of the world, and I think photographers is going to have to become mindful and respectful of people's private
Yeah.
spaces. And I think
Right.
that's going to be why street photography will change. It has to
Especially in
change.
India.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It has to change. And I think you will get cases of people becoming more angry at having cameras stuck up in their faces. That's just
Right,
that's just a
right.
fact. Yeah, yeah. So
Shall we
that's I
move?
think that's where we're going. Yeah, no, let's go on. I'm sorry if I'm boring.
No,
If
no,
I'm kind
no,
of like
not at
making
all,
this
not at all.
sound
You are really,
melodramatic.
this is really,
Mm,
really, yeah, it was needed, the explanation was needed.
yeah, so I don't mean for people to suddenly sound like, oh, we just got to turn this off. Randy's just making it all sound really
No, no, no,
impressive.
that was a great explanation.
Yeah.
How this happened.
This was in London. I think this was made I think 2017, 2016 maybe 17. I think I was in London, and I think at that time, vaping was becoming a trend.
Okay. And it's still
So
there.
yeah, the trend is still there. The vaping trend started, I think, in 2016 or 17, and it was
Okay.
really coming on very strongly, and people were vaping everywhere, and I think they're trying
But
to limit that now. So
in
this might
India,
change too.
it's illegal in India.
Yeah, right. And I think even in countries where it's legal, they're trying to limit where you can vape. because at that time, I think 2017, people were vaping everywhere.
Right.
And I think that was when I was seeing all these smokes, big smokes everywhere. And we can see that there's a lot of street photographs with big smokes. But that was
Yeah.
one of the things that I took notice of, because I make a lot of pictures of people smoking, because of the hand gestures. I love the hand gestures,
Yeah.
of people smoking, and
Right.
so I noticed all these big smokes, and I think this was how this picture came about. I just thought
Yeah, this
it
is
was nice.
quite different, unusual because it's quite long. Mostly, it's not long.
Yeah, yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that was why I kept the picture. I make a lot of pictures of people smoking, and there was just a reason that I liked this, because of the shape and how it looked, and
Yeah.
and and the colors
And
reminded me of
and
of the
you really
of
have to
Union Jack.
focus.
So
You
yeah,
really have to focus where the smoke is coming from because it's quite
yeah, right. It looks like it doesn't
separate
look like
from
it's
the.
coming from him. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. So because I think I got that picture because I've made a lot of pictures of people smoking, so I know when I get an unusual picture. Yeah,
Right.
and I thought this was a bit unusual.
Right.
But the colors reminded me of the British flag, so I thought it was interesting with the blue, white, and red. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I love this self-portrait somehow. Like
This
yeah,
this
the colors, the
this
shadow.
this this I'm not going to explain.
Yeah. I know.
It's it's a selfie. There's not much to explain when you're just making selfies, I guess. But
Right.
I just I think part of who I am, and me wanting to communicate and having
Right.
struggled so much with words all
Right.
my life, um, I I thought, what better way to communicate who I am, other than to make pictures of myself. Um, and I thought this was, and
I
I've
think
thought
the
about this for a long time, right? So that's why I have a lot of selfies, just because I
yeah.
feel like
It's,
that's me
and it's very
communicating. That's
interesting also. It's very interesting. Recently, I
well
featured
because
one of your picture.
well because you are unique in a way, right? Everybody's unique, right? Everybody have something to say about themselves, who they are. They're different. Everybody's different. All of us are different. So when
Yeah.
I'm making pictures, I'm quite mindful of that, and I'm trying to emphasize that point, that we are
Yeah.
different. So
Right.
so so my selfies, I feel like, okay, it needs to look different because I am different, and I
Right.
think that's the point. That's just the point I'm trying to make. I think it's just an emphasis on that aspect, which I
Right.
hope communicates to the people looking at the
Truly,
pictures.
truly, it communicates.
Yeah, yeah.
I love this one. This is my favorite. Like, how
This
this
was
happened.
this was very early on. Like, I made this picture, like, I think 2014, like beginning of 2014 maybe. So this was a long time ago, and this was very early days when I was just kind of learning what street photography meant and what street photography was. Um, I don't necessarily make this type of
But
this
where were you
kind of
standing?
picture anymore. I was
Where were
standing
you
in front of
standing?
the guy. This it looks like it was made at the airport, but it
Yeah.
wasn't. It was at a shopping mall. I'm
Okay.
sorry to spoil people's dreams about the image, but it was made at a shopping mall, and this guy was a guard at the shopping mall, and that's
Oh,
basically a billboard behind him of the design
okay.
of
Yeah.
the shopping mall. So
Right.
and he just bent down for a second, writing something on a table, and then I just made a
But
picture,
I
and I
like
thought, okay, it's a good
it's so
connection.
neat. It's so neat image. Very nice.
Well, I think
Very,
this was something that I realized about myself really, really early on, that I liked simple colors, and I liked I really liked to keep things as minimal as possible. That was one of the things that I really liked about street photography. And I think if you go
right.
back to my early work, the first few years, they were very minimal. It's usually one person. It's usually just it's one person. It's a background. It's really clean background. It's clean lines. It's clean colors. You can see the subject really clearly on my frames, and I was getting really close to people. Um, and I think this picture just kind of epitomizes that sort of that line of thinking for me.
Right.
Yeah.
I love this.
This is new. This is back to the market, by the way. So
Yeah,
the same picture that you said that was your favorite before,
yeah, yeah.
this picture was made at the same place,
Okay.
but I think I think 4 years 4 years apart. This was made late last year, um, and I think I was looking at a different angle because that picture that you saw was me looking up, and this picture was
Looking
me
down.
looking down on the street
Yeah,
on the ground, and I have never really made pictures in the market looking down before because I thought it was messy. Um,
yeah,
and I think as time has gone in the last few years, I've embraced some chaos in my pictures. I've embraced taking pictures from a bit further out. I've actually, I think if you look at my work now, the subjects are further out than they used to be. I stand further back. I'm looking at the whole scene more than just a single person now. Rather than a single gesture, I'm looking at a whole, at pictures from a holistic point of view where do I feel something about this whole thing that I'm looking at, and how can I complete this frame? And I think this was how I got this image was just by kind of allowing the space to be and not force myself to be too close to
so
into the
you
scene.
you follow Harry Guart work, right?
Harry Greer is my star.
Yeah,
I
he
think
is.
my compass. I have pretty much all of his books. I love his work so much, and I think he's so observant, and he's very honest about the way he makes pictures. Um,
Yeah,
and I don't copy his work per se, but I'm very inspired by the choices that he makes.
right,
It was when I came across his work that was when I realized that I don't have to be up close in people's faces
right,
anymore.
right.
Because he doesn't get close to people, doesn't get too close. He makes pictures of people from the back sometimes,
Yeah,
um, and he makes pictures of whole scenes rather than um, a single object.
yeah,
And I think that was just what drove me to. I think it changed me as a person, and I think it made me become able to carry a camera with me all the time and just make pictures of whatever interests me. And it allowed me to be in the same space as my family, and I still can make pictures, which I couldn't before. And I think a lot of people struggle to do that. I think a lot of
right,
people struggle to make pictures with their families around because they don't know how to separate
right,
the two together, the two from each other. Like if
right,
I have a camera and I have my family, I can't concentrate, or my family become an annoying part of my photography life, or I have to concentrate on my family. I'd rather not have a camera at all. And I think a lot of people actually really struggle with this. And I think when I came across Harry Gruya's work, for me, it was so much more than the photography. It was him traveling around with his family, taking pictures wherever he goes. He would have a camera on him. He would be with them. He'd be alone. He'd be anywhere, and he could still make pictures. And that was just that I think that just unlocked everything that I
that's really amazing. Yeah,
that I had in my head. And since and the last 3 4 years, I've just basically carried my camera with me wherever I am.
right,
It could be my phone, it could be an actual camera, and I'm with my family. And they, my wife completely understands that I'll sometimes just say, hey, look, I got to stay here for a few minutes. I got to make pictures of this,
right,
and then she, and then she can still be in that same space, and I'm okay with that.
right.
And yeah, so Harry Gruyaud, I think, is much more than just the aesthetics of his work. I think it's his whole process that inspires me.
I also admire his work. I have two books. I have his two books, so I was really enjoying today with live session.
Yeah, yeah. His work is incredible. I mean, even if you don't know him as a person, his work is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, you can know.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So tell us about this.
This was made in
It's quite
this was made in
unusual.
This was made in Singapore, and I was in Singapore, and this was on a beach. I think it was Sentosa Beach,
Okay.
and I was there, and there were a lot of people at the beach, and there were these group of workers that took breaks at lunchtime. People come
Okay.
out at lunchtime. They taking breaks, right, at lunchtime, and there were a few of these fountains everywhere,
Right.
and these workers were actually showering, taking
Okay.
showers
Okay.
um, at the fountains, which I thought was something that I haven't seen before, and I think that's something that people probably can take from this session. If you see something you haven't seen before, make a picture of that thing. Don't judge it.
Right. Right.
Um, don't judge it. Don't think, hey, this is not cool or this is nice or whatever. Just don't judge it. Just make pictures of it. Just make pictures
Right.
of whatever you haven't seen before, and you can think about it later. And while you're trying to make pictures, right? This came to me automatically. I think the angle that I chose, it came
Yeah.
to me again very similar to how I make other pictures is by already knowing what sort of angle I like, what sort of style I like. And because
Right.
I prefer abstract over documentary. I have no
Right.
intention of revealing who this man is. I didn't want to make pictures of him taking a shower at a fountain on a beach. That would have
Right.
been too simple. That would have been too easy. Even though it would have looked different to people who haven't seen it before, but to me, it would have been more of a reportage. It would have been more of a documentary, and not enough mystique and not enough mystery.
Right.
So that's why I went with this angle. I wanted a more abstract feel to this thing, to the image.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Hmm. This is a like very neat and nice layers image. Like,
Somebody's asking how did I get it from this height? I lifted my camera over my head. I can tell you honestly that this was one of those times that I was not looking into the
but
viewfinder or
it's
or,
so
or the script.
amazing. So
And it was
amazing.
it was just a guessing game. I made pictures above my head, and I
There is
was
no
guessing.
overlap. Nothing is there. It's so amazing.
It was pure guess. Yeah, so that's how I made it.
Great.
Yeah. This picture I made at the beach in Bangkok. I think
Oh,
I like it because it's one of my messier pictures. I don't, you look at my work and you don't normally see a lot of mess in my pictures. And
right.
I think this was one of the messiest one. And I
I have
think
not
I
seen this
became
actually. This I
no
saw for the
okay
first time.
okay because I don't think a lot of people would have picked my work, but would have picked this out of my work. And they probably wouldn't have thought it was me when they saw the picture. But you will know that you will be happy to know that Raghu Rai picked this for Creative Image
Wow.
magazine.
No, it's. I'm
This
not saying. I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm not. I'm
No,
saying
no, no,
I have not
it's
seen
different.
it
Yeah,
like
no,
in Instagram.
yeah, yeah,
I
no.
most.
This was and I was completely amazed that when I got a message from him, from his assistant, to say that this image was he picked it and he wanted it included in his magazine. And that
Beautiful.
was so this one was featured. And I think it was
Amazing.
just I was chasing around the guy. I like the lines, I like the squares, I liked all the details inside it. And when I made a couple of pictures, and I couldn't really see because it was like midday. It was you can see from the sun. It was like maybe I think 1 o'clock in the afternoon or something.
Right.
And when I made the picture, I couldn't see because it was so bright. And I made a few pictures, and I came home, and I saw that this one worked out well. So yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Is it showing fine? Like,
Yeah, no, I think it looks okay. I think what do you guys think? The people listening and looking at the images, do the images look okay to you? Um, yeah, this one was made in Singapore,
okay.
and this one was made in I think Little India, in Singapore.
Really?
Um, yeah, in Little India in Singapore. There are these amazing You know what? As soon as I got to Little India, the thing that stood out to me the most in Singapore was the how do I, the artwork on the walls.
Right.
These graffitis. People actually draw and paint these walls, and they're absolutely beautiful. Um, and when I was there, I was for sure. I thought I have to make a picture here somewhere on one of these scenes on one of these walls, and I tried to make a bunch of pictures, and I think this was the best one that I got from that place. And I
Amazing.
think they change, and I think they change the artwork every now
Okay.
and then. I haven't
Okay.
been back since 2018, but I heard that they do change these walls up, like every 6 months or a year you'd see a new painting or new drawing on there.
So
Um,
Mitu is from Singapore, and
yeah,
Mitu is,
Singapore.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Me too. Yeah, absolutely. Little India, great place for street photography. I would say best in Singapore. You go
Yeah.
there at lunchtime when everybody's taking a break, and it's absolutely amazing, right? I think Singapore is a great place at lunchtime. People talk about bad light, bad light, bad light, but Singapore at lunchtime, awesome place because everybody comes out, everybody's on the streets, and you're seeing a lot of life, a lot of people hanging out, and it's absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Wait, one question. Would be great to view the images all in Google. I love this.
What your go-to lens for street photography? My go-to lens for street photography, right now I'm using an X Pro 3 from Fuji, and the lens
Wow.
that I'm using is the 21 cow-sized lens, which translates to about 32.5 millimeter focal length, something like this, I would say. So that's my go-to lens right now, but generally between 28 and 35. That's what I usually use for my
I think
photography.
mostly all street photographers use like that range.
Yeah, I think so. And I started from 35 and I moved to 28 and then I came back to 35 again. I alternate quite a lot between 28 and 35 and I used 40 for a while too. Um, so to me, that sort of 28 to 35 range just sort of works. But I've found that the last few years that I've stood a little bit further out from people, I've found 35 to work a little bit better right now
Oh,
these days.
wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So tell us something about
You a lot of your favorite photos are from the market in Bangkok. Hey,
Yeah,
thanks, ABC. Thanks for good to see somebody with a tick mark on their names.
well fine. I know, I know. We have got some famous
you
people
know,
here.
no, no, no. ABC is an amazing, amazing, amazing photographer from Singapore. If anybody not following him, you need to go follow him. Is an absolutely a character that once you meet, you'll never forget. Um,
I'll
you know,
surely
he
follow
makes
him.
he makes these amazing scenes, and also an iPhone photographer. So somebody to
Nah.
follow for sure. Yeah, good to see you, man. Yeah, so that picture that you saw earlier was again from the market, which I think you seem to like pictures from the market. I think that's
Yeah,
just a lot of strong colors there. So
yeah.
yeah, this was in Bangkok. Evening light,
Great
beautiful
light.
light. I
Beautiful
love,
light.
I love,
I
I
love
love, I
this
love.
this part.
Yeah, yeah. Can't really see it very clearly on the screen, I think. But
Yeah,
yeah, the I would say the shadows makes a picture.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
What time it is
You know,
there? Like, what was the time?
late evening, I would say. I think it was 4:30 before 5 o'clock. We this is the thing about Bangkok, right? And I think if anybody comes to Bangkok to shoot, you will come to notice that when you're in the city, you don't get sunlight in the city past 4:30 in the evening, just because there's so many tall buildings in the city, and after about 4:30, it just disappears. Like the sun falls behind some tall building, and you just don't see the light in the city anymore. But once in a while, you do see the light comes through these buildings, and when it comes through, it's absolutely beautiful, right? And I think, I'm crazy for anything that light touches. I'm 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 just kind of mesmerized by this whole interaction between objects and light. And I think this is one of the things that I find most interesting about photography. One of the most interesting things, anyway. Yeah.
So the platform number 10 is started the book.
Okay. I don't think there needs to be so much said
And we
about
have and we have a lot of
how
questions for that.
we
We have
do.
to talk.
Okay.
So first question is how it started.
Oh wow. How Platform 10 started. We have to go back to very early days when I started photography, because this was the first place, the train station was the first place that I went to make pictures at. To practice my
Oh,
ISO and aperture and shutter
oh
speed.
wow. That's interesting.
Um, so I was there, 2011, 2012 when I started. I was there, and that was the place that I learned how to make pictures of strangers. And
Wow.
I started from black and white. I started from portraits. I started from talking to people and then not talking to people. And I was experimenting between, lines, light. I switched to color at the train station. Um, you know, and Platform 10 did not happen until year 4 into
Okay.
it. And I think by that time, I was already quite aware of the place. I was already quite used to the place, and I was already quite in love with the place. I was going back there 3-4 times a week anyways, just to make pictures.
So why you chose that only platform, like 10?
In the end, it became about in the end, the thing that separated Platform 10 from all the other things that I was doing at the train station was the light, right? I can't get away from the fact that I just love how light interacts with everything.
Right.
Um, but if you look at the pictures of Platform 10 and you look at the people and the story of the people, it's what I was already doing even before Platform 10. I was making pictures of people, their interactions, their gestures. I was doing all that before Platform 10 anyway. So I think it was just that the light of Platform 10 enhanced the message
Right.
that I was trying to make, trying to create. And I think that was when it reached out to a much bigger audience than I had prior to Platform 10. But to me, personally, the story of the people is the same. It's the people that go to the station, people that are waiting for something, people are going somewhere, people are lost in their own worlds. And I was lost in my own world, and I was waiting to go somewhere, and I was waiting for something, and I was trying to go somewhere. And I think it was how I connected with the place and the people.
Right.
Um, and I think this is how, um, I guess, Platform 10 became for me a lesson in how to reach a bigger audience,
Right.
because the pictures became recognizable,
Right.
and I put together a series of pictures that had this harmonious feelings about it, and it became a book and it became a story. So I guess this is the difference between making individual pictures and making pictures of when you put pictures together as a story and you're trying to tell something, and then there's this connection from one picture to another to another to another. It's just I think this was the beautiful part about Platform 10. It was that it became a story unto itself, and I think that was what separated it from everything else that I was doing before. Yeah.
I love this one. What
Yeah.
beautiful,
So
what layers,
it's just
what smoke.
again, you see people smoking, right? That's just
Yeah.
I make a lot of pictures of people smoking. What do you have in mind? What do you look for when you step
So,
out for
Rammy, it will go
shoots?